Good day and welcome once again to our graphic design tutorial. Today we are going to look at the pen tool and then the direct selection tool. These tools are very important in the use of Photoshop because of its functionalities. To start with, let's create a new project. And I've created my new project. Now this is the pen tool, and the pen tool has lots of other tools under it. The pen tool has lots of other tools. The pen tool has other tool under it that when you drop it down, you can see the pen tool itself, the freeform pen, the curvature pen, the add anchor, delete anchor, then convert point. So all these tools are under the pen tool. So when I select the pen tool, I can use the pen tool to draw lines using points. Okay, I can draw lines and shapes using points. So I can use the pen tool to draw lines using shapes, and now I also have the freeform pen, which basically draws a line with a continuous point. Okay, so now I want to draw curves with a continuous point, and it's going to link. So if I draw this one and then draw this one, it will add them together. Let's say I draw this, then later on I come and start from the edge and then draw another one. It's going to add it to the first one I drew, and then I can add it. So this is a freeform pen. It allows me to draw continuous lines using the freeform text. Okay. We also have the curvature tool, which is used for curves. So you can see that as I'm drawing, it is curving by itself. No matter the position I add, it's going to add a curve to it and then draw a perfect shape out of it. We also have add anchor point tool, and this one is used to add points. So imagine I have a shape like this. Let me use the shape tool. Imagine I have a shape like this. This one has only 4 points. Okay, that is this one here and here. They have 4 points, but in the course of the line I want to extend some part to also be a point. This is where I use the add anchor point tool. So when I click on it and point it to where I want to add the point and click on it, it's going to add a point to it, and now I can move that point. Okay, but in the normal sense I cannot move that point out of it unless they are going to move all the shapes. But once I add the anchor point tool, I can have another one another point where I can move the point I created, okay, and also create a new curve out of it. So here, if I want to create a curve out of the shape, I can now use this one, the anchor point tool, and wherever I add an anchor point, it's going to create a curve out of it, and I'll be able to adjust my curves and know how it is. So basically, these shapes are not found in Photoshop because Photoshop is not a vector-based application; it's a pixel-based application. So you need to go through the hassle of designing these shapes by yourself, and this by the use of the Add Curves tool and then the Pen tool, you can have this one. It works on all shapes that you add. It works on every shape that you put in your application. So I have a circle here. You can also use the anchor point to add and then to kind of draw a beam. Okay. So this is what the anchor point tool can do. You can have a mango shape somewhere here. Meanwhile, we don't have mango tool in the Photoshop, but by the use of the anchor point tool, I can draw a mango. Okay, I can draw a mango. Oh, this is my mango here. You can change the colors of the mango. Just add ingredients to it. Mango yellow or orange. This one is not a ripe mango. So by the help of the anchor point tool, I've been able to draw a mango. Meanwhile, we don't have a mango tool in Photoshop. Alright, so this is by far how we can also use the pen tool and then the add anchor point tool. Okay. So imagine I have a shape like this, and I want to design simple flyer, but I would need some kind of curves in it. Okay, I can use this one. Come to add anchor point tool, then add a shape to it. Then maybe do like this. These are by far one of the commonest shapes that we usually use in designing. And you can add your effects to it. Maybe you can copy and paste them to create different outlines. So I'll come and then duplicate it. Then select this one. Make sure that let me change the color to this. And now it is covered under it, so you need to bring it out a bit. And you can still use your anchor point tool to direct so you can have this one. Or you can also use the direct selection tool so that you can select a part of the shape. Maybe you don't want to select everything, so select part of the shape and then address it or use it as you want it to be. So this is what I have. So you feel free to deal with your shapes and colors however you want it to be. So you are the designer, so feel free to deal with it how you want it to be like, so that the customer will enjoy it. You enjoy the design. You can also add different here. You can add strokes to it so that let me change the stroke color to the color of the background, and this we should depict that this part is covering here and there's a small portion here. Now I failed to add that you can add as many strokes as possible. Now we have one stroke here. You have only one stroke. You can add more strokes to it by clicking on the plus. You can add another stroke to it, and let's change the color so that you know that there's a different stroke attached. Then you can also change the color of that stroke. This one is inside stroke, so okay, change this one to outside stroke. Okay, one of them will become an inside stroke, then the other, so this is the inside stroke. So let's change the colors. I wanted to add this one to the, so that you can have a blue outside stroke. Then come to the outside and then select the main color. And this is what we can add as many colors as we want in our stroke. Okay, you can add as many colors as we want, and we can duplicate this one too as well. So now you can see that we are dealing with more shape. We are getting more shape effects on our Photoshop. So this is what we've done by far. You can go on and on and on and then do a lot of things, but this is how to show you how you can draw those things, and they basically do not have much bearing on designs. If you are designing professionally, these ones are not going to come into your mind, but cool, you can use it in your designs and other things. Yeah. Now we have something like beautifully like this. You have something beautiful like this. Okay, you can feel free to add your effects, and you have control as a designer. You should have control over your design. Okay, though you are designing for customers or clients, but you should also have effect control on your design. So this is how we use the pen and then the anchor point tool. So we also have we also use a bit of the direct tool. Okay. Now what is more beautiful in the modern Photoshop is that once you hover your mouse on it, it displays how you can use the tool. It displays how you can use the tool. Alright. Now imagine that let's use the paint bucket, a quick one. So imagine that you have these colors here, but you realize that you want to apply different colors to it so that you know how they will appear with different colors. You can use the paint bucket tool, and this is the paint bucket tool. Once you click on it, then you select your colors from here. You select your colors from here, then you select your layer, then you leave your colors in it. Okay, once you click in it, you should select the layer, and then apply your colors to it. You can choose different layer, different color, then choose the layer you want to apply to, and then you add. So you can play with the colors to know how you can also use it on the outline as well. You can also use it on text. So we have this text here, and you want to change the color. You can also use the paint bucket, select your color, and then apply it on it. See, to apply it to it one after the other, because you are clicking on them one after the other. So you can use the paint. You can use the paint bucket to add colors to it, and make sure you click on the text and not the space. You click on the space, it will add to the entire screen. So you can add more colors to it, and this is also how we use the paint bucket. We also have the gradient tool, where you can add your gradient to the screen, but quite complicated, so we'll take it on another day. Okay, so this is how we can also use our paint bucket tool, and you already know what the eraser do, so I'm not going to spend much time on it. It's just for cleaning. And in using the eraser, you need to first select the layer. If you don't select the layer, it will not be able to use on the layer that you think. So the layer that you want to clean, that is what you will select, and then you can add you can erase the part that you want to. Okay, so this is how you can also use the pen tool, and then we'll meet in our next tutorial. Thank you for your lesson. Hello, good day. This is another video tutorial in graphic design that will help you speed up your work. Today we are looking at effects in Photoshop, and we are going to use three things. Now we're going to use effects on shapes, effects on images, then effects on font or text. Now effect is one of a key tool or a key requirement in designing. Okay, you cannot only just put the images, text, and then shapes on your design. You need to apply effects on it so that it will add to the beauty of what you are designing. Now effect in Photoshop works with all elements or all layers that you choose, whether text layers, shape layers, or image layers. So in today's lesson we are going to deal with all three things, all three layers in Photoshop in regards to effects in Photoshop. So let's just get started. To get started, you create or you open your project. So here I'm going to create a new project. Choose my preferences and then add them here. and I'll take this opportunity to design quite a nice flyer for the purpose of the lesson. So as you have your artboard or your document open and ready to design, you go through to find the shape that you want to use. So we are first starting with shape effect. You go through with shape effect. So I'll pick my rectangular tool or whatever tool you want to use. Then I'll draw. I will draw on it how I want it to be like. So I'll draw my shape and position it at where I want it to be. Then I'll change my colors to the colors that I want to apply on the everything from here. Now I have my image or my first input here, and this is what I've got. Now I want to apply some few effects on the rectangular shape that I drew. Now the first effect that I want to apply to it is the 3D effect. Okay, it's a 3D effect, and 3D basically means that 3 dimensions. So your image, as flat as your image is, you can apply some effect on it and it will look like it's a 3-dimensional image. So the kind of effect you're going to apply to it will allow you to view 3 sides of the image, but in actual fact it's a flat image, okay, or a 2D image. So here I'm going to take you through the process of giving your shape a 3D look through the 3D effect. Now there is quite I would say you would have to go through some few steps or basic steps in order to deal with this. So I would like to give you a lighter one, then as we progress you understand, I'll come back to the 3D effect. So the effect I'm going to apply to this one is gradient effect. Gradient effect. And gradient basically means that colors of different streams. Okay, colors of different streams. So now you see that you have my PC is misbehaving. You see that? Let me create a new because I don't know what's happening. Okay, you see that you have a flat image like this, and now I was talking about gradient images, gradient colors. Now this rectangular shape here has only one color. Okay, now we are going to work on how we can have different color streams on it. So to do that, you first need to select the layer or the shape or the thing you want to apply to. And here we say that hello. And we say that Photoshop categorize all inputs or elements into layers. So this is the layers panel. This is the layers panel. And you can move it. Yeah, you can move it here. This is the layers panel. And you can still go and fix it back. Okay. Now I want to put it somewhere here. This is the layers panel. Okay. Now from the layers panel, you have to select the layers you want to apply the effect on, and you come to the deep side or the bottom side of the panel. The bottom side of the panel, there are some buttons below here. Starting from the extreme right, you have delete, a bucket button, which is for delete, so that you can delete your layer if you don't want to. We also have a new layer button here with a square and then a plus in it. That is to add layers. We also have the folder button here for grouping your layers. And we also have the new fill adjustment layer. The adjustment layer also here. We also have a mask tool here. And then the next one is the effect layer. Okay, and this will help you to add layer styles and layer adjustment, everything to it. Now if you click on it, it will drop down more options like the blending options, the bevel and emboss, stroke, drop shadow, and these are the effects we are going to work with. Once you click on it, it drops down the menu or the type of effect that you can use. So here we are going to add gradient layer to it. So we are going to pick gradient layer, and when we click on gradient layer, it's going to open and apply a default gradient on it. Now you can see that our colors have changed to gradient layer. We have a white section, then transmitting to different color. That means that we have a stream of colors. You can see that the color is not just one, it just moves and then transforms into another color. Now this is the layer style panel, where you can adjust your layers and set your preferred choice of layer styles that you want to use. We also have other effects which are also lined up here, like which was on the effect button. They are also lined up here. So you can see we have bevel and emboss for adding embossment to our layer. We have contour, we have texture, we have stroke, then we have inner shadow, we have inner glow, satin. So there are a lot of effects for you to also use here. Now since we have selected the effect layer or the gradient layer, we also have to go to the gradient overlay panel, and this is where we customize our gradient. Okay, now we have the blend mode to be normal. Then we can also change it to how we also want it. If you want, anyone we click on it, there's going to be a change of color, a change of appearance, because it will blend with your color. You can see it is changing as I'm changing the blend mode. Okay, as I'm changing the blend mode, it is also changing the color appearances. So this is basically on blend mode. Alright, We also have the opacity, and this shows the lightness or the thickness of the color you have. So you can see that the blend is changing as I'm reducing the opacity, and when it gets to yellow, it changes totally to the previous color. Now as I'm moving the opacity, it is also changing. Okay, so this is what we can do to our gradient panel or gradient style. So this is the actual gradient, and this is where we set up the gradient colors, how the gradient should appear. So when I click on it, a new panel will also open for me to select the colors that I want to use for the gradient. So now we have the white color here, then we have the other green here. So if I select this one, you see that it will appear here. You see that the color appears here, and here I can select it to either be the foreground, the background, or the user color. When I set the background, now I can also pick the green color and it will appear here. Okay, and there is also a slider which help us to move our colors to where we want the gradients to be. Okay, this will help us move our colors. Okay, help us move our colors to where we want it to be. So you can see that as I'm moving, it is also moving out the colors. Okay, and I can also add a color by double clicking. Let me delete this one. Now you see that we have two color gradients. Now imagine I want to have 3 color gradients or 4 color gradients. What I have to do is to double click at the position I want to add the colors, and then, or if I single click even also works. I can also delete the color. So I have to change my, not this one, this is a color picker. These two I have is a color picker. So I have to change it to the hand tool, and when I click on it, another color will be fixed here, and then I have to select the color that I want to put there. So now you can see that I have 3 color gradients. I can add as many as I want. I can add as many as I want. So I have 4 color gradients here, and since I can add more and more, as many as I want. Okay, and this is how we use gradients. So now I can have more gradients to my gradient styles, as many as possible. It works. Okay, Photoshop allows me to make changes to my gradients to serve the purpose that I want to use for. So I can have as many as I want on my layers, and this is how we deal with gradient overlay or gradient effect. Now when I click on OK, it becomes the gradient that I have at the background. Now here we have a layer style, and then we have linear. Now linear is selected. When we click on the drop down, we also have radial, and radial simply means that it's going to go round. So when I click on it, it will be rounded. You can see that it is showing a round effect in it. You also have the angle, which means that the gradient is going to go one other side. Let me rescale it and see. Okay, you can see that this is where our gradient is. So we can put the gradient at a certain place or a certain angle. We also have reflected. See, and whilst I'm moving my angle, how I want the gradient to be placed, it will also go there. nicely. Then we have a diamond, and that one is will be shaped into a diamond shape. Okay. Okay. So you see, there is a diamond effect, or the diamond style. We also have the radial style, and you can see that it is set in the radial position, the angle, and this is what happens to the angle. We also have reflected, and this is what happens. Okay, so this is how you can use gradient overlay effect. Now we go to another effect, which is drop shadow. So let's use drop shadow. When I click on this, that means that drop shadow has been selected, and I have to select it, and also the features or the structure will also appear here. And so we have the blend mode. You can also change the blend mode to how we want it. You can change the color of the shadow. Okay, and as we are selecting, see that we are changing. You can change the color of the shadow to whatever color we want. Okay, we can change the angle of the shadow, however we want to place it, and the distance, how it should be. Okay, you can see the shadow distance moving in and out. You can also set the spread, and then the size of the shadow. Okay, so basically these are things that we can also do on the shadow effect. Okay, we also have the quality of the shadow, or the contour, so how we want the shadow to appear. You can also choose any of them until we are satisfied with how we want it to appear. So this is a shadow effect. So whatever effect that you choose, you need to click on it and select it, and then its features will also appear. Now we have the bevel and emboss. You can set out their preferences here, how we want them to appear. Okay, how we want them to appear. So there is the bevel and the emboss. To emboss the effect, the image into a 3D effect. So you can see it's so hard. Okay. Then we can also select these. So this is how you use it. You're going to use it in action. So I'm teaching you how we can use it. Then we go and then use it. We also have stroke, and stroke usually means, or basically means, the edges or the outline of the shape. So we have the effect here, then there is the outline. So the more we increase the size, the more stroke we have. Okay, now we have a stroke like this. You can set the stroke to be outside, on the outside. Then we can set it to be in the center or the inside. You can also change the stroke color to whatever color we want to apply to our stroke. Okay, when we start using it in action, you will see. Now, so everything you have, you can also use it here. So this is basically the effect panel, or the layer style panel. Okay, good. We close it, and then let me okay. Now we use it on shape. We can also use it on text as well. So I'll select my text. And say so this is the text that I have. This is the text that I have. Okay. Now I can use the effect on the text as well. So by going through the same process, Maybe I want to add stroke. I'll click on stroke, change the stroke color, and I'll decrease the size of the stroke. Okay. You can also add gradient to the text. You can also add embossment to the text. Okay. You can also add shadow to the text. Now whatever we select, we can also add it to any of them, whether images or text or shapes. So today let's apply them in action and let's see. Now with this set and done, we also have okay, let's try and then apply a 3D effect on this one. And to apply a 3D effect on this one, we are going to go through some process, and the process is this. We are going to select another rectangular color, then we will draw it beneath the shape or the layer we are going to apply the effect on. Okay. Then we change the color to gray. Then here is a critical place, so we must take caution, and when we don't understand anything, we should pause or reverse the video and then look at it. Let me zoom. Okay, this is what I have. I will select it and go to the pen tool, then select add anchor point tool. Okay, let's select let's take the direct selection tool, and this arrow, then we select the edges and then scale them. Okay, then we'll add an anchor point tool, and this will basically add another edge to the middle or to any part of the shape. Then we can move it up and ahead. So now this is what we have. Alright, we are going to apply an effect on it, and the effect we are going to apply is blur. Okay, so we are going to we'll go to the filter on the menu bar, click on it and select blur, and when you select on blur, you should go to Gaussian blur. When I click on Gaussian blur, let's convert it to a smart object. Now we will select how the blur should be, the blur radius. So as you are scaling, you are looking at how it should appear. I think this is good, and then you click on OK. Now you should put the blur layer under the original layer. So you go to layer, you click on arrange, then send to back. Now we can push it so that it can fit at the back of the layer, so that only the tips will appear. Now when we add this, you can see that it now looks like the shape was put on it. It's like the image is sitting on it. Okay, it's like the rectangular image is sitting on the page. And we are going to look at something here. Let me bring it to the edges. Okay, so this is what we have. You can see that it looks like the shape is sitting on the edge or on the background project. Okay, so sometimes you can see that you want to add some 3D look on it to appear to the viewers that appear to the one looking at the image as if the image is sitting on the background. Okay, and this is what we have. You can sometimes add a shadow to the main. Alright. So this is what we have. It looks like the image is sitting on the background. Okay, it looks like it's sitting on the background. This is a 3D effect that we can go through the process, then add to our image. Let's add another one and see. Let me create a new project and click on create. Now I'm writing a text, and I want a text to to be viewed as a 3D text. Okay, now I have this one. I want to create a reflection of this text. Okay, I want people to look at the text as it is standing on a glass panel, so it will reflect. Now this is what I will do. I will duplicate this layer or the text. I will duplicate the text, So I'll right click on the layer and then go to duplicate layer. Okay, and I'll have them here. Now the next thing I want to do is to rotate the text downwards. So I'll click on select. No, sorry, I'll click on edit, then go to transform, then I'll select rotate. So you go to edit, then to transform, then to rotate. Now to give you to open the rotation property, then you need to select the angle in which you want to rotate the image. So you can rotate the image by, you see that once I push or I hover the mouse on the text, it changes into a dimension arrow, which means I can move it upwards or downwards. Now if you also want to rotate it, you can go to edit, to transform, and then to rotate. And now at this section you are going to set the rotation angle, or if you are perfect you can also use the arrow, but let's use the rotation angle, and you are going to rotate it upwards. So it's going to be 180 degrees. 180. So now it's 180 degrees. Now we want the text to transform to let's say, transform to reflect. Okay, to reflect. So we are going to add some effect on there is the main text, and then there is the reflected text. So this one is not going to be the same as this one. We are going to apply few effects on it, and we are going to reduce the opacity of the text, of the reflected text. See? And as we are reducing the opacity, you can already see that the rotation is coming, the reflection is coming. Now after this, we have to so we have, let me use there are a lot of things to cover when we get to fonts or typography. So for now, let's use this one, because we'll deal with typography or type very soon. Then you get to know how you can edit your text and change fonts and use perfect fonts for perfect projects. So this is what we have. We are going to duplicate our text, and go to duplicate layer, we also have a reflection like this. So we go and add our opacity. And this we'll add our the effects panel by clicking the effects tool, effects button, selecting your effects panel, and here you can deal with your effects as you want. So you have the inner shadow and gradient overlay and everything we have here. Okay, so thank you for this lesson, and we look forward for more. Our next lesson will concentrate on typography, okay, or type, dealing with fonts and text. Alright, so until then we meet. Thank you.